Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the RC sister, and today I wanted to do a painting blog about Johannes Vermeer's hyper obsession with Lapis Lazuli. Like, it's not gonna be just like telling you his entire life story, but I am gonna mention the basic facts about him. So, just in case you don't know who this painter is, it's the guy who made the girl with a pearl earring. That painting is more famous than the artist at this point, and we will be looking at the girl with a pearl earring. Heck, we're gonna be looking at a lot of girls with pearl earrings because he only had that one pair of earrings that he put it in a bunch of different paintings. So I'm gonna be pointing that out as well. So yeah, Johannes Vermeer was, he was born in Delft in the country of Holland in the Dutch Republic in October 1632. Like, it's debated whether it was in which day of October, because a lot of those painters and like regular people, they didn't have like birth certificates, but people didn't know when he dropped dead, mostly because of like the debt collectors came in knocking. So yeah, oh, the painter, I tend to collect the money. Bring out your dad. So usually with like histories and stuff, there's actually more. You actually know more when they die and not when they were born. So he was famous for like making domestic scenes, like scenes of indoors, like people just living like their normal lives and stuff. And he painted during, and he's considered one of the greatest painters of the Dutch Golden Era, but that is only by a modern standard, because the girl with a pearl earring is very famous, but during his modern day, if he was so famous as the art historians claim, he wouldn't have died dirt poor, which he did. So he's only considered the greatest painter of the Dutch Golden Era by modern day standards, because of that. Because the modern historians, they like the hell out of the girl with a pearl earring. He's a very famous painting.
Plus, he's a good excuse for the academic painters because his art is very academic looking.
Yeah, academic looking, but even the but yeah, he's not. Yeah, he painted very few paintings, and even the other paintings, like his early work and his later work, is debated whether he painted them or not.
Or
Yeah,
just attributed to him.
or if they just attribute to him. It's like so he may have like. They may like there's 40 paintings that people say it was made by him, but there's probably only even less than that. And mostly cause Lapis Lazuli be expensive. Like, he's very famous for his use of the pigment Lapis Lazuli. Let me like zoom in on this painting. Like, this painting, the procuress or the courtesan, or by modern words, the prostitute. He painted in 1656. Over here is one of the earliest instances of Jan Vermeer using the pigment Lapis Lazuli. And then he used it in a very limited fashion over here to make like this blue jug. And so, which is very close to the lady's jug, which is being...
An actually anime scene back in Japan.
Yeah. And over here on the side is the only self-portrait of Jan Vermeer where he's actually looking at your face. So that's probably another idea. It's this guy over here looking at the audience. So yeah, that's probably another reason why Jan Vermeer died poor, cause his love of loose woman and Lapis Lazuli, and then he will combine them both in a painting by. But I'll get to that later here. Let me now tell to you about the very ridiculous expensive pigment Lapis Lazuli. Like, it was being used in art since like for the last 9,000 years, and the earliest artifact found in Birana in the Indus Valley civilization dates to 7,500 before Christ. So lapis lazuli has been used since like forever. And the word lapis means Latin stone, and lazuli means it means and lazuli
It's blue stone.
yeah, no, The lazuli part is taken from a Persian word called lajabar, which means sky or heaven. So it's heaven stone, which means that it's a stone that has the color of the heavens, which is blue, sky blue. So in order for you to get lapis lazuli back in the day, you had to go to Afghanistan in the mines of Badakhshan. And they have been mined there since like the seventh millennium before Christ. And after like other than Afghanistan, the other place where even Marco Polo went to the Silk Road to get like lapis lazuli.
It's interesting because in the Epic of Gilgamesh they mentioned a lot Lapis Lazuli, and it's in Mesopotamia in the area of Ur is actually around the same area.
Yeah, like the gates of Ishtar are made with lapis lazuli stones. Oh yeah, and the other place where you could get lapis lazuli major deposits were in the Andes, in Chile, in the New World, and also to the west of Lake Baikal in Siberia. So yeah, in Russia. So you had to go like really far to get lapis lazuli. So you can imagine the shipping cost whenever Jan Vermeer wanted to get that expensive pigment. So and also he had 15 children. So he enjoyed, not only was he enjoying the procurers a lot, also his waifu. So that's why he didn't have a lot. So it's a wonder how how he had time to like.
His children were with the same wife. Pretty sure.
No. That was that his legitimate children, 15 children from the same chick, and then a bunch of other mouths to feed. Yeah. So that's another reason why he doesn't have a lot of paintings. He was more busy doing the other thing, with his procurers lady friends.
No, but he had 26 mouths to feed. I mean, like, I could either get egg for my family or more fancy lapis lazuli.
Yeah, guess what he chose? Lapis lazuli.
Also, how long did that woman have to pose over there in order for them to make that painting with her?
Yeah, with a guy's hand over grabbing her jug. Her lapis lazuli jug.
Wow. Like, he used a machine called the camera obscure in order to sketch over it.
Yeah, like first he would trace over it and then he would add the colors, which shows that his over reliance on camera oscura shows that he was good with the pigments, but not so much with the people.
Like a lot of people right now, they complain with all this trace over art. But here, Jan Vermeer doing the very same thing and is considered a master of art.
Yeah, the Dutch Golden Era guy. But he was such a great Dutch Golden Era person. Why did he die poor?
And why did he need to use a machine in order to trace over art?
Yeah, in order to like drop you, in order to drop it. Why do you need to trace over it? You don't need a tracer if you're like good at the sketching. Somebody was a great Dutch person. I forget.
Okay.
Moving on.
If Jan Vermeer can do it, so can you. So stop.
Oh yeah.
Honest about people who trace.
Yeah. You can trace over something and still be a Dutch Baroque Golden Age person, very horny, lapis lazuli junkie.
Yeah.
Alright, now we're gonna be looking at paintings that heavily rely on like lapis lazuli. This one is 1660, the milkmaid. Like it's very interesting. Like over here you see the lapis lazuli in her apron, in this dirty rag, and also back here where I don't know if let me see if yeah, and also over here in like the little corner tiles in the floor. I zoom out too much. No, yeah, that when I went to zoom out, it zoomed out. It zoomed out way too much, and then okay. There we are. Got the painting to settle down. There. So yeah, like it's very interesting that he used like very expensive pigments just to paint like this peasant maiden. But if you look at her face a lot, it's like very familiar. Like the face of this maiden is very similar the procuress, which we see in like another paint, which we see over here in one of his very early paintings. So yeah, using very expensive pigments on very cheap made. And over here they say that they also have like some landscapes of Jan Vermeer where it's this one is 1616, the view of Del. And then over here he used lapis lazuli, obviously in the sky, cause that's the type, cause that was the type of that's the what lazuli means, like heaven, stone from heaven, and also in like the certain rooftop areas back here, where you see like the very strong blue pigment. So yeah, that definitely set him back a couple of months in. Like, but then again, how would you like go about using the camera? Well, I guess in this one he either painted it from his studio or he went outdoors to do like a very perfect rendering sketch of like the outside. But it's probably more from like his studio, because going outdoors to paint stuff was only made fashionable in like the Impressionist period. So this is probably just a view as it's seen from like one of his house windows.
Well, drawing houses is not as difficult as drawing a human being. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
like
geometrical.
Geometrical shapes.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't need a camera obscure for that, but like.
Yeah. And this one is a woman reading a letter, and this one has a lot of lapis lazuli. You see it like in her dress, in the chair, and in another chair. So he definitely went ham with the lapis lazuli in this painting. A woman reading a letter, 1662. And of course, we had the infamous girl with a pair of earrings, drawn in 1665. And this one, like, you could consider, like, unlike his other paintings that come with backgrounds and stuff, the girl with a pair of earrings is not like a complete painting, but a study for a different painting. Spoiler alert. And the thing that he's experimenting here with is whether he wants to put lapis lazuli on like her turban. Yes, she's also wearing it in like her little turban or in like the lower part of it. And he's also experimenting with like the eye shine of like the eyeballs and also the ears and the mouth. Also like the yeah. But the reason like I don't know, I guess maybe this painting is so charming because the maiden is pretty by modern standards, or I don't know, whatever. I'm not gonna, or maybe a lot of our historians say that this painting is awesome and now everyone considers it awesome, whatever. But I consider different paintings to be more awesome than the girl with a pair of earrings, but I'm not gonna get started there. Painted around the same time is a study of a young woman, but if you see right over here, she's another girl with a pearl earring, because here's the infamous pearl earring. And she's also wearing but instead of having the lapis lazuli blue on her head, she has it in like a scarf. So obviously he was debating whether I want the lapis lazuli accent, like the main, how like lapis lazuli, he was using it as like the main highlight focus, instead of like bright red, he was like lapis lazuli is where I want people's eyes to focus at. So I don't know, do I want it closer to the head, or do I want like the scarf, or do I want to make like the scarf the center focus of the painting? And then this other painting that was also made during the same year, in the same year, 1665, girl with a red hat, but she's also another girl with a pearl earring, because here's the same pair of pearl earring that shows up in literally all of the paintings that had like jewelry, because since he was dirt poor for his paintings, he only had the same pearl earring prop that he reused.
the theory is that maybe he had like a very rich patron that wanted the painting, and he was trying to figure out what's the best way to use the lapis lazuli for that patron.
In specific.
So he wanted to impress. So he made a couple of practice paintings first.
Yeah, but yeah, probably this the woman with a red hat was one of his few actual paid commissions. So he'd be like, it better come out right. So then over here you also see him experimenting with the light, because he added over here he added the same shine of the red lips. He also used it on this one, but he made certain that the light of the hat was falling in such a way that it would allow the lips to be shiny, but also the pearl earrings. And Lapis Lazuli, he eventually decided to have it as a dress and not as a weird turban, and instead he gave her like a city red hat.
To do a split complement
with like blue and red and stuff. And also like the background also has a little bit of lapis lazuli in like the background, because in like in those the way that art was taught back in those days, it was that you couldn't just have one spot in the painting have one color in specific. You know, if you have blue ones, you have to have blue lapis lazuli blue elsewhere. And the same thing with a red hat, since the woman had like red lips, he also had to have like the red feather hat in the hat, like the red and red as a hat, so that the painting will look harmonic. And then in the foreground we have the thing that she's sitting on, like the bench, over here brown, and also the brown is repeated in the background with the weird medieval tapestry. So yeah, the girl with a pearl earring was one of two studies in order to make the girl with a red hat, which is just your standard portrait.
Yeah, but clearly the girl with the red hat is a rich patron's wife or something.
Yeah, like a paid commission, or maybe
paid well enough that he was like, I gotta get the lapis lazuli.
Yeah, I gotta like get the lapis lazuli right, But yeah, and that's why. Yeah, but the girl with a pearl earring, like she has a very familiar face, and this one looks more like somebody else, but like the girl with a pearl earring, like her face is very similar to the procurist. Like just look at her face up front over here, like yeah, like you will, like it looks identical to the face. It looks identical to like the girl with a pearl earring, with like her naturally red lips and chubby cheeks and the nose. So
basically, the girl with the pearl earring is the one that's getting groped in that other painting.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's the procurer. She's a very expensive courtesan that he paid twice to pose for him, and so maybe the movie of Johannes Vermeer where he had a scene with where like his maid wasn't just
that movie was full of shit.
Yeah, it was full of it, but yeah, it got to run. She wasn't a servant; she was a courtesan. Yeah, not to shame. Yeah, which was
not to shame prostitutes.
Yeah.
That movie, it lied about a lot of things.
Yeah. But then again, that's just
history.
Yeah, but then again, most history is made up anyway, so.
Like, why are we surprised that they lied
on a movie?
Like, you will find that a lot of information in Vermeer are academic painters trying to hype up his style because it's very similar to the styles that academic painters do.
Yeah.
So by hyping Vermeer, they give themselves validation
as an artist. And obviously, the reason why the Impressionists are taught to death is because a lot of rich people bought Impressionist paintings when they were cheap, and now they're trying to see a return on their investment. So like our history is very tied to like the business of art. So it shouldn't surprise you. I mean, everything's a business. If you can sell it, it becomes a business. But whatever, it's not important.
Yeah, which is why the biggest backers of AI art right now are also the people who invested money on ChatGPT when it was starting out.
Because they're trying to raise the value of the stock they bought when it was cheap. And that's why they're shoving AI so deep down your throat.
Not because it works, but because they already paid so much money into the stocks that it has to work.
Yeah, it has to work, but yeah, whatever. Don't take us as financial advice. Just do whatever. Okay, this one is 1565 woman holding a balance, and then behind her is it's a painting of like the Last Judgment by a different dude. And then over here you see the lapis lazuli in her dress, and also like in like her sweater, and also like in a random spot over here in a very limited amount, just in a cause it's mostly black with like slight dabs or lapis lazuli blue in order so that the painting remains balanced. So it's mostly a painting, also about also a study on not just of the Last Judgment, but also how to balance a composition with like the repetitions and stuff here and there. Yeah, and of course it's usually by the very dim window that gets the light just the way he likes. And also like the face of this maiden over here, if you look at it, is also once again I think it's the girl with a pearl earring.
The procuress.
The procuress, you know. The procuress, the mother of his other 80 children. Over here we have 1667, lady with maid servant holding a letter, which is another one. And of course, she's another girl with a pearl earring. Over here we have like the big giant pearl earring. But interesting enough, get back here. The painting got small. Interesting enough, once again, he has the servant woman be the one that has in her apron the expensive lapis lazuli pigment. So he's and then also in the table, but not the rich lady. So that's interesting that it shows where his heart is at in his procuress and not on the rich lady person. This one is the geographer, and then lapis lazuli on his outfit, and on like the mantle over there. There's a very limited use of the lapis lazuli pigment. This one is the lace maker, and then the lapis lazuli is not on her outfit, but on like her little workbench over there, and also in the foreground. And then you see repetition of red over here and red over here, and lots of gold. But it also almost looks like a bit of a study, because it doesn't like his finished works usually have like very complicated backgrounds, but this one doesn't have any backgrounds or any background elements. It's just you could almost see as a study of gold and blue working in tangent.
Well, and something that I was reading over here is that actually working with lapis lazuli is very, very difficult, and not a lot of painters could actually do it because of how expensive it was to practice with. So probably his niche was to tell the rich painters, I know how to work with lapis lazuli.
Yeah.
So if you want something with like the most expensive pigment, come to me.
Yeah.
And that's why you see him practicing with that so much.
Yeah, because since he couldn't like show him, you need to have a hook when you're selling your abilities, and I guess his hook was lapis lazuli. I know how to work with lapis lazuli. Just give me the lapis lazuli. Maybe he got it for free, from like maybe the rich painters gave the lapis lazuli for like the work. And then a screen he like practiced with it in order to.
Maybe that they say, okay, yeah, you're gonna make this painting, and we're gonna provide you with the expensive pigments.
Yeah.
Whatever he had left over from the painting, he will use it to practice.
Yeah, in order to like just in case the next rich painter shows up with like lapis lazuli, because like lapis lazuli as a symbol of as an item more expensive than gold. I guess having a painting with you draped in lapis lazuli, that's how you show that you were like that you have money, because your outfit, because your portrait was made with like a very expensive pigment.
Yeah, similar to like how the guy Gustav Klimt, he would always paint in gold because he could.
Yeah, because he could afford it. This one is the love letter, 1669, and once again we have the interesting detail of the maid servant being the one that has the lapis lazuli on her clothing, while the so-called rich lady is the one is draped in gold. Like yellow, yeah, yellow ochre is like the cheapest pigment that ever is. It's like a very cheap pigment.
It's weird. Why did he choose to do it like that?
Yeah, no, it's like it's very sus. You would think that he would put like the expensive pigment on like the rich lady, but no, he put it the most expensive pigment on a peasant woman. And I guess that's just to show who's the important one, I figure. But yeah, it's just a very good thing to pay attention in. Not just in Jan Vermeer, but literally any painting where lapis lazuli shows up. I mean, heck, the Virgin Mary in the Catholic Church, you couldn't like paint her without truckloads of lapis lazuli, because her blue veil was always done with that expensive pigment. And heck, even the Last Judgment, wherever you see blue, Michelangelo, he also painted with lapis lazuli, the entire sky and stuff.
So he used yellow ochre for the rich lady.
Nah, yeah, the cheapest pigment that ever pigmented, and lapis lazuli blue for the peasant girl. That may or may not be the girl with a pearl earring, but in a different guise. It's just very interesting. And then this one is Lady Standing by a Virginal. She has lapis lazuli in her coat. There's also in her weird in her virginal, whatever the hell that is. And also lapis lazuli back here in that little landscape over there. This landscape and the chair, and also the towels on the floor, and the same weird little towels with the little figurine people in the bottom. So this one does a very nice. It uses lapis lazuli in several different places without the painting appearing too ridiculously blue. Just the right amount, because lapis lazuli costs an arm and a leg, but you gotta have it, but don't overuse it too much, because it's expensive. And this one uses in 1670, a young woman seated at a virginal. So I guess the same chick by the virginal, but they call it a virginal, but it looks more like those weird pianola, but it looks more like a piano, or it's a virginal called a piano back then.
Or if anybody in the comment section knows what a virginal was,
yeah, because it looks more like a piano. It even has a music sheet, and I see a shallow in the foreground. And let's zoom in here, and her hands are in piano playing position, and there's a music sheet over there. And I don't think this is the girl with the pearl earring. No, it's a different chick. And he signed his name very close to her face, so that's interesting. Maybe it's and she's not wearing pearl earrings. And then there's another painting detail in the background. But yeah, this one heavily used blue pigment, lapis lazuli, and I guess as time went on, he got more confident with using the lapis lazuli blue, because the more forward you move into his artwork, the stronger the lapis lazuli blue becomes, and the more dirt poor his family becomes. And okay, is this yeah. Okay. And then here's the last painting that I wanted to show you. Is 1670, lady writing a letter with her maid. And once again, this lady she was given the fancy pearl earrings. Over here you see one pearl earring, two pearl earrings, and the maid servant once again has the blue apron lapis lazuli, and it's reflected over here in you see more of the detail of the stained glass window with like the family crest covered in lapis lazuli. So yeah, that's how in the Vermeer paintings you use lapis lazuli in order to guide the eyes to like the main points of interest in this painting. So I hope you found me using this lecture or Jan Vermeer's usage of the pigment lapis lazuli, and it should give you some ideas as to how to work with colors in your paintings. Bye bye and